You will have to do this on your quiz. Like I'm going to give you something that looks like this, and I'll ask you to expand it. And so you'll be expected to expand. You don't have to show work, and this is the work I expect. First, what you want to remember is, so in this line, this step is actually got like multiple parts. And please, please, please take your time doing each part. Where students mess up is they try to do too much in one. They try to do too much, and they don't realize it's multiple parts, and then they mess everything up, right? So the first thing you want to realize is, does everybody see that there's two parts here? Here's your binomial. One part's a 3x. What's the other part? Negative 2y. And so what we're going to do is, it's going to start with, okay, this has got one part, and then this is 3x, negative 2y, a 3x, and negative 2y, a 3x, and negative 2y, and then a negative 2y. And actually, probably what I should have done is dealt with the exponents first. And how do you know how far to go? Well, you pay attention to the exponents. But that's a 4, right? This first one's going to be a 4. And then it goes 4, 3, 2, 1, and none. And then the second part goes none of them, one of them, two of them, three of them, four of them. And one good way to check this is that anytime you add these two exponents together, you get this, right? 4 and 0 is 4, 3 and 1, 2 and 2, 1 and 3. Got it?
Wait, you what? Add each other?
You make sure that when you add these two exponents, you get this,
Oh,
the big exponent. Right. So we're almost done with this line. What are we missing? The coefficients. And how we get those coefficients is we go, that's where Pascal's triangle comes in. And you could keep going, but since it's raised to the 4th, I want to go to the 4th row. And so I need a 1, a 4, a 6, a 4, and a 1. Everybody with me so far? All right. Very important when you expand this, take your time on this line. Right? Be very careful on this line. There's multiple things going on. You've got to figure out what your exponents are, how the parts go in, and then figure out the coefficients. And you kind of want to do each of those things separately. If you try to do multiple things at the same time, then what happens is things get mushed up and just messed up all over. Take your time. It does take time. I know that, right? But if you spend time here, then the rest is easy. I didn't say it was quick. I just said the rest was easy. And so now we go back through and we have to solve this. So then we think, all right, first thing I always do when I write down, the first thing I write down here is what's the letter? So write down the letters. What's this going to be?
X to the 4th.
Are we okay if this is x to the 4th? Is it obvious this is x to the 4th? Right? So we write down x to the 4th. And now you got to figure out the number. Well, the number is going to be 3 to the 4th, which is times 1, which is 81. Is everybody okay? That's our first term. All right, now let's go to the second one. All right. And what's the letters? I always want to know what the letters are. What's the letters?
X cubed y.
Are we okay? X cubed y? So if our letters are x cubed y. Now, let's see what the numbers are. So the numbers are going to be a 4. I'm going to get 3 cubed, which is 27.
Why are the letters x cubed y?
Because this is cubed, and this is to the 1st.
Okay.
Okay? And so this is a 4. 3 cubed. Here, I should probably write that out. This is 3 cubed, and this is a negative 2. And so 27 times 4 is 108 times 2 is 216. Is it positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. Because there's a minus in there. Is everybody okay? That's our second term. Now we're going to go to the third term. What are the letters?
X squared y squared.
Do I see it's going to be x squared y squared? Just by looking at that, figure out what the letters are. So we're going to get x squared y squared. Now let's think of what the numbers are. So I've got a 6. I've got 3 squared. And I've got negative 2 squared. Right? Is this going to be positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. Why?
Because the negative dies.
You see how the negative dies because we have the negative 2 squared? So let's see, that's 54, it's also 216. So this is going to give me a plus 216. Now let's figure out this next term. What are the letters?
X squared plus
we get xy cubed. Now let's figure out the number in front. Well, the number in front, that's going to give us a 4, that's a 3, and that's a negative 2 cubed. Is this going to be positive or negative? Negative, because the negative lives here. And this ends up being 12 times 8, which is 96. So I get minus 96. And now we go to the last term. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say that's y to the 4th. And I get 2 to the 4th is 16. Is it positive or negative? Positive, so I get a plus 16. And then we've now expanded, right? Is this a quick process? No, right? All right? Where you will get in trouble is you try to make it a quick process, and it's not a quick process. Okay, just, yes.
So how did you get 81 for the first one?
3 to the 4th.
Oh, you did, okay.
Okay. There's lots of things that I teach you where I know a faster way. Right? Y'all may have already figured that out. Like there's some things that I teach and it's like, okay, I teach it this way and then there's a faster way that I show later. Or there's a faster way and I just don't show you because it doesn't connect with what I'm teaching. There is not a faster way to do this. This is how I do them, right? And when I have to make sure that I get the right answer, I make sure I write this step out. And I take my time on this line. Right? Because the effort you put on this step means that this step works. If you don't put the effort here, this answer is not going to be right. Also, notice that anytime we have a binomial and this is a minus, do you notice how the signs changed? It went positive, negative, positive, negative, positive. Anytime you have a binomial where there's a minus here, the signs are going to change. So, does that make sense? Right? So on your quiz Friday, you're going to have to expand 1, at most 2. The reason I say at most 2 is these take time. These take a lot of time, right? You've got to go, this is a very deep, you have to be careful, right? So I know that. All right. And that was kind of the homework I gave you on Friday, and if you did the Khan Academy, yeah, the second term, at least I had some that were fractions, but that was... All right, so what we're going to do now is I've got to show you the 2 types of problems that you need to be able to do, and they're very closely related, right? And after that, if there's time, I'm going to start explaining some of the patterns and stuff. So, what are some of the questions that you're going to be asked? Well, let's see. So what if I say, find the 6th term of, actually we'll have the 5th term, of, I want to do 4x minus 3 to the 12th. So everybody, this is a question that you have to be able to answer, so I'm going to make sure we know how to do it. So, there's everybody written down the question. So one way to do this, right? And oddly enough, some people, yes, Katie. Oh wait, I can't hear you. Wait, my mic's down. Sorry.
Yeah, we were trying to get your help for the last question.
You'll have to look at the video. That's gone. Sorry.
Yeah, I was paying attention. Yesterday, or no.
Okay. All right. So it says find the 5th term of this. So one way to do this, you could expand it, right? Don't write this down because hopefully you'll realize that's a lot of work, right? Do you realize that expanding this would be a pain? I mean, if you go through it and you think, all right, okay, teacher didn't show you any tricks, so the only thing I showed you how to do is you think, well, all right, this is going to be, okay, 4x to the 12th, 4x and a negative 3, that's to the 11th, that's to the 1st, right? Keep going, right? Like here's your, actually I'm going to write it down. So So let's see. This is 4x to the 12th, 4x to the 11th, let's see, negative 3 to the 1st, 4x to the 10th, negative 3 squared, let's see, 4x to the 9th, negative 3 cubed, 4x to the 8th, negative 3 to the 4th. Let's see. This is position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4. Okay, there's our fifth position, right? So I've got my fifth position, yay. But what else do I need? I need the coefficients. So my coefficients, I start off 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1. Okay. 1, 3, 3, 1, 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna have a problem. Because like when I made you do Pascal's triangle, how far did I make you do it on Friday?
8.
Like the 8, right? And at the 8th row, the numbers were getting kind of big, right? Can you imagine what the 12th row is going to be? Right? So, I mean, to have to go to the 12th row, it's like, oh, that's not fun, right? Like, pretty much anything after the 8th or 9th row is a pain, right? Plus, that's a whole lot of work when all I need is this one last spot. Do y'all see that? Like, could you do this? Yeah, you could. But if you don't care what each of these terms are, right? Why on earth are we computing them? There's got to be a faster way. Does that make sense? So if I'm only asking for the fifth term, let's just look at the fifth term. So let's just look at that fifth term. All right? Well, first, so there were two ways you could get the coefficients. One way to get the coefficient was from Pascal's triangle, but the primary way you get your coefficients is from the combination things. Like where this number comes from is actually 12 choose 0. Right? Whatever this number is, we're going to choose 0 because we're choosing 1. Where this number comes from is 12 choose 1. Where this number is 12 choose 2. This number is 12 choose 3, and this number is 12 choose 4. So, what we're interested in is 12 choose 4, and I get 4x to the 8th, and then a negative 3 to the 4th. All right? Now, more importantly is, how do we get this without writing all of this other stuff down? Right? And here's how we do it. Okay. First, are we okay with the fact, does everybody understand that the fifth term is going to be a 4x raised to some power and a negative 3 raised to some power? Because every term's going to be that, isn't it? Actually, here. So we know it's going to be a 4x raised to some power and a negative 3 raised to a some power, right? I mean, if I ask the fifth term, sixth term, seventh term, it's all going to have something like this. And what you do is, the first thing you want to find out is, what's this exponent? You want to find the exponent of the second term. And I want you to look back at this chart, and I want you to notice, is there a pattern between the position and the exponent of the second term?
1 less.
Do you see that the exponent is 1 less than the position? So I know that this is going to be, if I'm looking for the fifth position, I know this is raised to the 4th. Next thing, what do we know these two exponents have to be? They have to add up to whatever this number is, right? So if this is a 4, what's this got to be? This has got to be an 8. And to find the coefficient, we can use that combination stuff, and so this is going to be 12 choose 4. Where this is 12, and you want to make sure that these numbers are the same. All right? So if these numbers are the same, now we have to go about and actually compute our answer. So to compute our answer is, all right, what are the letters?
How'd you do the combination thing at the end?
What's your biggest exponent? What's the power?
12.
12. And then the bottom number is always the same as this.
Oh, okay, and then how'd you get the 4?
It's one less than the position.
Oh, okay, so.
So fifth position, this is going to be the fourth.
So solving that, would you have to draw out what you did on the bottom there? For all
No.
of them?
I did this to kind of set up. This is all. We're going to do another example.
Okay.
But let's make sure we get the right answer here.
Okay.
And so now we have to go about getting our answer of, so 12 choose 4. So everybody get your calculator out and do 12 choose 4. So let's see if I do 12. Okay. 12 choose 4, I got 495, right? Okay. Okay. And so this is 495. And then you see we're going to get 4 to the 8th. So it's going to be 495 times 4 to the 8th times a negative 3 to the 4th. So everybody do that in your calculator.
How'd you get 4 to the 8?
Okay, this whole thing's raised to the 8th?
Yeah, so you just got rid of the x?
Well, no, I already took care of the x. The x to the 8th is here, and then the... Is your answer positive or negative? It's a big number.
Positive.
Everybody see it's got to be positive? And so what you should have gotten is 262766590 x to the 8th. All right. Did that make sense? All right, so we're going to recap what we did because you're about to do it. We're going to do it again. All right. So when I say find the fifth term or whatever term, you've got a binomial, so you've got 2 parts. So I've got these 2 parts. I know my answer is going to be the first part raised to a power or the second part raised to a power. You have to find out what these exponents are. This exponent is always going to be 1 less than your position. So if it's the fifth, that's a 4, right? And I know these 2 exponents have to add up to whatever this is. Once I find out figure out the first part and the second part, I've got to determine the coefficient. My coefficient is going to be 12 choose, and the thing I want you to remember is these 2 numbers are always going to be the same. Got it? So, let's try it again. So I want to find I'm hoping this isn't too big. I want to find the 6th term of 2x minus 5y to the 11th. I'm hoping I'm hoping these numbers don't get too big that you go into scientific notation. All right. So how do we do this? Well, I know it's going to be 2x to some power and negative 5y to some power. All right. And I got to figure out what those exponents are. And the first thing I find out is this exponent. What's this exponent? 5. And what's this exponent have to be? 6. Because this is always 1 less than that one. And now, how do I determine what's my coefficient going to be?
11, choose 5.
11, choose 5. And now it's a matter of typing this in, right? So first of all, what are the letters going to be? X to the 6th, y to the 5th, and then you got 2 to the 6th, and you got negative 5 to the 5th, and you have this number. Is my answer going to be positive or negative? What's it going to be?
Negative.
Negative, so the negative lives this time, so I end up with negative, and I got 9, 2, 4, and then, what is that, 5 zeros? Does this make sense? Okay.
5 zeros.
Huh?
If you type 5, choose 11,
Yeah.
times 2 to the 6th, times 5 to the 5th,
Oh, that's
you get that number. Now, unfortunately, actually this was kind of planned. This is not the problem I had on this is not the problem that I had written down. The problem I had written down said, no, I want to know what 2x minus 5y squared is. What does that change? Does it change this? Does it change this? What's the only thing it changes? It makes that a square, doesn't it, right? So if that's a squared, is it going to change this number? Is it going to change this? What's the only thing it's going to change? What's this going to be?
Y to the 10.
Y to the 10th, because now it's y squared to the 5th. Does that make sense? Okay. So if there's a 2 here, right? Are you okay that your first term's a 2x, your second term is a negative 2y squared? And your number is still going to be negative 5 to the 5th, but your letter is going to be y squared to the 5th. And what do you do anytime you have an exponent raised to an exponent? Now you see why I got a y to the 10th? So notice when you have powers here, they don't change your number, right? All they do is they change what your power is. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Does that second time through a little easier? Does everybody understand the trick, right? Right. If I ask for, find the 6th term, I don't want you to expand it, because that would take forever. What I want you to realize is, okay, you're going to have 2x raised to some power and this raised to some power. This power is always 1 less than the position. And you have to remember that when you do the 11 choose 5, the 11 comes from this exponent, and then the 5, these are always the same. Is that right, okay? All right. So this is a type of problem, all right? And related to this type of problem is this thing. Find the coefficient of the term with x to the 8th in the expansion of 3x minus 4y to the 13th. Very similar question, right? And actually what you do, how you solve this is actually very similar to the other one. In fact, sometimes I actually think this is easier. So I ask you to find the coefficient, so basically the number in front, the coefficient of the term with an x to the 8th. So what you want to do is you want to imagine this thing is being expanded, right? And of course, x to the 13th, I mean, this is huge, right? To expand this whole thing. I don't care about all the terms, do I? If you don't care about all the terms, don't write all the terms. So if we only care about some of the terms, the term I'm interested in is 3x to some power and a negative 4y to some power. Okay? So let's talk about the term I'm interested in. Every term is going to be 3x raised to some power and negative 4y raised to some power. If I care about the term with x to the 8th, what do I know? What's this exponent have to be? 8. Does that part make sense? If I want x to the 8th, there you go. So if this is an 8, what's this? Why does that have to be a 5?
13.
Because I have to add up to those. And so this is a 5. And then what goes here? 13 choose 5. Do y'all see how that worked? Right. Does everybody see how, everybody understand the setup? This is a big old expansion. I don't care about all the terms. I only care about the term that has x to the 8th. And so if every thing is going to be 3x to some power, negative 4y to some power, the one that's going to give me x to the 8th puts an 8 here. There's an 8 here, there's a 5 here, and then we set it up just like we did the other one. Well, can we compute this? So everybody compute it.
What does it mean to find the coefficient of
The number in front. They don't care about the letters.
Okay.
Like for this one, if I were to expand this, I would get an x to the 8th and a y to the 5th. I don't care about that. I just care about the number in front. Just curious, is my answer positive or negative? Everybody okay? The answer is negative? How do I know my answer is negative? Because the negative still lives. And so your answer ends up being negative 8, 6, 4, 6, 6, 6, 3, 1, 6, 8. Everybody get that?
Are we going to be getting answers like this on the quiz?
Yes.
Oh, that's a lot. Like if we mistype one number, then
You just plug in, you just multiply all that together.
Well, I'm seeing this, right? If I gave you this problem and you just gave me this as your answer, you're not getting credit.
so if we have all the work, but we accidentally like mistype one thing in the answer, you still get this credit.
Most of the credit, yeah. If I see this, that's most of it, right?
Okay.
And then let's say that this is worth 10 points. You're getting 7, maybe 8 points for this and 2 points for the final answer. I'm still giving you points if you actually know how to type it in the calculator, but I need to see this.
Yeah.
Okay, did that make sense? Well, I'm notoriously just bad at copying my work, right? This isn't quite the problem I wanted to do. What if I changed it? What if I still want you to find the coefficient of the term with an x to the 8th, but instead of it being 3x minus 4y, it was now 3x squared minus 4y. How does that change things? It changes some stuff, but some things stay the same, meaning are we okay that our term is going to be 3x squared raised to some power and negative 4y raised to some power? If I want something with an x to the 8th, what is this power going to be?
4.
Everybody see that's got to be a 4? Because if we got to get an x to the 8, this has got to be a 4. And if this is a 4, what does this have to be? A 9. Because these two exponents still have to add up to
Is
13.
that just like a different way to solve it?
Well, no, it's a different question.
Okay, what's the question for the second one?
I changed it. Instead of it 3x minus 4y, I said 3x squared.
Oh, okay.
So if your binomial ended up being a 3x squared, I still want the x to the 8th term. So what goes here? So this is 13, choose 9. All right, and now compute it. Oh, shoot. I will make sure on the quiz it doesn't go into scientific notation. I am so, oh, it was close. Did you get 1.5 something times 10 to the 10? Yeah, I won't give you something to go scientific notation. Yeah, this is what happens when I just make stuff up off the top of my head.
Wait, so how come now, like in the previous problem, we had a negative 5y to the second, and then we did to the second, and then to the fifth. So we did negative 5y squared to the fifth. And then you did that, and you just multiplied 5 and 2 and got y to the 10th. And so then for this one, you did 3x squared to the 8th, and instead of
No, I didn't say 3x. Because I changed the problem. Instead of being x, it was now x squared.
Yeah, but
If I put an 8 here, I'm not going to have x to the 8. Like, if I were to multiply this out,
oh, you changed the original.
yes.
So for the other one, you just changed it during the problem.
Yeah.
Like as an example.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it.
But do you see the difference?
So you would just find what times y equals that last
Mhm.
exponent, and that's
Yes.
how you-
Because you've got to make sure we get an x to the 8. And unfortunately, I messed up and ended up with, it's actually, it ends up being 15182069766. I mean, I think that's the actual number. If you go over 10. There's another number here I don't know. Actually, I should know it. It's even.
It's 0, I think.
It is a 0. No, I don't think so. Here. It might be. Oh, it is 0.
So how'd you figure out that last number?
You don't have to. No, normally what would happen is your calculator would actually give you the right number.
Oh, but
I hit something too big that went into scientific notation.
Wait, why did I get basically the same answer except like one of the really last digits is different? Like I got 151820698.
Yeah, it's just rounded.
It's just rounded. Your calculator has a different setting. Don't worry, it'll come out nice. I messed up and picked something too big on this one. So,
Wait,